Hey, happy Friday night, everybody. To all two of you who are on right now. Hopefully, more people will join, but I just thought I would hop on here for a little bit and talk about the big stories in the week of crime. It looks like we have three people watching now, but I promised I would start doing more of these. So I thought, hey, it's freezing outside. It's Friday night, and it's been a little bit of a weird week in the crime world. So I figured, why not hop on here? I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. I know I did one of these last Saturday, and I meant to talk about Thanksgiving a little bit, but I didn't. So I'll just tell you right now, I had a pretty good Thanksgiving. Went over to spend some time with family. Um, Met some really cool people, actually. I met a woman who worked for the CIA for like 20 years, which I thought was pretty crazy. She did like satellite, she was a satellite analyst. She would analyze things that came down from satellites from other countries and stuff like that. So, pretty intense work. And I actually made kind of a joke. I don't, it actually was funny, I thought, and it went over just fine, but you just never know how people are going to take things. But just with the political environment and everything. And when she told me this, that she was retired from the CIA, I actually said, I said, "Oh, so you're deep state." And then I was like, "Oh, wait, maybe I shouldn't have said that," and I was totally joking. I was just joking based on everything I'm always hearing about all of this stuff. And she took it well, and we just had a really great conversation. So I thought that was pretty funny. But I hope you guys are all staying warm where you are because it has been a freezing cold week where I am. But let me tell you, it's been a crazy week in crime. No, TDB, I am not deep state. I don't think I am. But I just always hear people talking about the deep state and see that on Twitter a whole lot. So I just thought it was a funny joke, but she was a really interesting lady. But have been some crazy stories going on in the news this week. And one of them, I'm going to talk about this just a little bit because I'll be talking about it on Monday on Law and Crime. The whole thing with the sheriff down in Kentucky, former sheriff Mickey Steins, who, we can say he shot and killed Judge Mullins because it's on tape. He did it. There's no dispute that he shot and killed him. It's whether or not it was murder, manslaughter, or something else is what his attorneys are contending. But there was some news that broke on that today, actually late last night, and we'd kind of been hearing about it. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, I wanted to talk about this shooting in New York City of the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. What a bunch of craziness. A. Heineman is saying hi from Columbus. Hi, A. Heineman. You are freezing. Yeah, I'm kind of in your area. And let me just tell you, it has been so cold. It's warming up though. It has been nasty. It's been absolutely awful. But this shooting is insane. I mean, it was basically an execution, an assassination captured on video. I mean, there are cameras everywhere these days in Midtown Manhattan. And they found the shell casings at the scene, of course, defend, deny, or wait, it was deny. I'm going to mess this up. Deny, defend, depose. We're on the shell casings in permanent marker. Oh, hi from Washington State, Queen Olive says. Hi, Queen Olive Ruth Ann. That is so cool that you're watching from Washington State. I appreciate it. Go ahead and subscribe, guys, and like too if you want, because I am going to try to do more of these when I can fit them in when I'm not working. But this shooting is insane. And I want to show you, I'm going to share my screen. You've, I'm sure, seen these photographs of the person they want to talk to, the person of interest, which I hate that word. It's like one of these, it's one of these new words, in the last 15 years or so, maybe 20 years. And I mean, all it is, it means suspect. Quit saying person of interest. I guess it's supposed to be like not as harsh, but it is what it is. So let me share my screen and show this to you, or share this with you. I just hit the wrong tab. So here we go. Sharing my screen. So look at this person. It's a guy, I assume, but he's kind of, he looks, I don't know. It's a man. They believe it's a man. but it looks almost like, the features are very fine and almost kind of feminine, in some ways, but this is the man that they wanna talk to that was seen checking into a hostel, and they said that, I guess the word is that he took his mask down so that because the woman wanted to see his face to match it to his ID, and they believe that's fake, and allegedly, he was flirting with the girl at the counter. No big deal, whatever. TDB says, "Hello from Philly. Good go Birds." Okay. Go Birds. I've heard that before. I work with some Eagles fans at work, so that's kind of funny. But this is just a really terrifying thing, that happened, and it'll be interesting to see what the motive turns out to be. I just checked on this before I popped on. They found what they believe to be, the backpack in Central Park. The shooter, was wearing a backpack, when he was seen at the Starbucks and getting some stuff, and then during the actual shooting. And then I was reading, they think that it was possibly a gun used on farms that are used on animals, to put them down. I think I was reading that on the New York Times site before I hopped on here. And that was pretty interesting too, because I think somebody was saying, and I'm not 100% clear on that, whether or not the gun was jamming or something like that. But he takes off on a bike, goes up to Central Park, gets off the bike, allegedly ditches the backpack because they believe they found the backpack today, but they're not saying what is in it. And then he goes to a bus terminal, to the north of the park, north and west of the park, and then they think he's gone. So they're looking for this person. They've also found some things that he threw away in the trash, like I think like a water bottle or a drink bottle and some food stuff that might have DNA on it, maybe a smudged fingerprint, things like that. Totally insane. Totally insane, this story. Crazy case. So get a good look at this guy. I mean, because he's got some very like fine kind of looking features in that photo. So it just kind of makes me think, oh, this could, it had me thinking, I don't know, people could disguise themselves in all kinds of ways these days. So you just never know what could happen. Queen Olive Ruthann says it looks like two different people to me. Yeah, it's interesting because so there's that photo, right? Look at the other photo that they put out. I don't know if that one's on here. Might not be. Is that not on there? There was there was the other photo that was kind of floating around, I guess. Okay, yeah. So this person had put this one out. So it could be the same person. It's just hard to tell. You'd have to do some crazy like CSI overlaying stuff that I'm not even sure you could really is actually real, to determine whether or not that's the same person because of the mask being up over the face. But I'm sure somebody in the FBI or something could do something like that. But yeah, it does look kind of different. And plus, like the lighting's just different. There's different shades there. The flooring's the same, obviously. It looks like that in the back. But the coloring's a little different. So yeah, that's a crazy story. There's another case that I've been following, and this one's been kind of crazy, the Hannah Kobayashi case. And I have to tell you, from the very beginning, it kind of sounded like she probably she's this woman, in case you're not familiar. She was missing. Ryan Ackman says hi. Hi, Ryan. She was missing from Hawaii, from Maui. She flies to Los Angeles. She's supposed to go to New York to see her aunt and hang out with her aunt. Well, she ends up missing her connection on purpose, and staying in LA. Her bags go on to JFK. She then apparently has her bags sent back to LAX. And after she misses the connection, she goes back to the airport, gets her bags. She's seen at like the Grove Mall and all of this stuff. This is in early November, like November 11th, November 9th, 10th, 11th, somewhere in there. And so her family reports are missing because she never makes her flight to New York. They put up a GoFundMe. Her dad and her mom go from Hawaii to LA to try to find her. And, it was interesting because it's like, okay, what's going on with this case? And the police were not saying anything. They were not putting out a bunch of information like, hey, this woman's missing. We're really concerned. Typically, if they think somebody is in danger or has been kidnapped or is murdered or is possibly has been murdered, they'll put stuff out, and they weren't doing that. So that was kind of a red flag. And then I had been set up to interview, trying to remember, I think it was the Monday before Thanksgiving. I had been set up to interview a PI, Steve Fisher, who had been looking into the case. And, I was all excited to interview him. And like a day and a half before I was going to interview him, he said he posted on Twitter, "I'm pulling out of the search. I believe she's voluntarily missing," because he is investigating it because he lives in LA and he was trying to help. And he had unearthed a bunch of information that led him to believe she just kind of left on her own accord and wanted to be left alone. So that's not, if somebody just wants to take off and be by themselves and not be bothered, it's not really a news story. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not something you do. You don't go hog wild on the news because a grown woman, you're not supposed to, at least. That's the way I was taught. But, is that, Ryan is asking, is that girl in the hood the one that died? No. The person that was up there in the hood is the person wanted for the shooting. The person wanted for the shooting in New York. But anyway, back to Hannah Kobayashi. So you're not really supposed to like go crazy on the news with something where, a 30-year-old woman is, wanting to be left alone and took off. And maybe she didn't tell her family where she was going, but, yes, she might be missing to them, but she's not missing to, I guess, law enforcement. I mean, if you're voluntarily missing, you're not like a critical missing person. A critical missing person is somebody who's possibly in danger. There are all these different levels of missing, endangered missing, things like that. So anyway, this was the Monday before Thanksgiving. I was going to interview this Steve Fisher. So I reached out to him. I'm like, what's going on? And he kind of filled me in on some of the things he had learned. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like she just wants to be left alone. So we, kind of held off on the interview because I'm like, I'm not sure I'm going to cover this. This sounds like she just wants to be left alone. Well, then the next morning, we learn her dad, Hannah Kobayashi's father, sadly, in Los Angeles, went to the airport and jumped to his death from the parking garage. I mean, just a horrific thing. And that kind of added a layer of mystery to it. And nobody can really understand why that happened at all. I mean, I don't think anybody can. So Ryan is asking, is that statue behind you Alex Murdaugh's lawyer? No, it's not. Yeah, the weird thing, Crash, is the no, that's the Pope anyway. That's Pope Francis. Long story there. But the thing about the text messages is weird, but I'll get to that in a minute. She did send some text messages to her family saying she felt like she had been tricked by somebody she thought she loved, and they took her funds or something like that. And there were some Venmo transactions. I'm not going to pull all that stuff up. I mean, I could and map that out for you, but I won't. So Hannah's father sadly took his own life. Nobody knows why, but still, I mean, there was no evidence that this woman was gone. And Steve Fisher, the PI who had looked into this, he's reputable, he had said to me, he thought she had taken off on like a spiritual journey or something like that. And I'm like, well, okay, that's not taking off and wanting to go on a spiritual journey is not being missing. Very Ape asks, will we hear any more from the Stephen Avery case, or is that done and dusted now? I think we should talk about that another time. we should talk about the Stephen Avery case another time because there's some stuff going on with that, and I think I could talk about that on a whole nother live, which I probably should another time, but I need to prep for that a little bit just because there's a new judge now in a new county, and there's a lot going on there. But yeah, I agree with you, Junior Johnson. It is very sad that he took his own life. So anyway, we are gonna kind of wrap this up with the Hannah Kobayashi story. I felt like everything I was hearing from the PI was like telling me, like, this is not a critically missing woman. This is somebody who took off and wants to be left alone. Well, this past week, and I'm going to share my screen again, the LAPD put out a statement basically confirming everything that the PI Steve Fisher said. I'm going to share this. And so this was on December 2nd. That was Monday of this past week. And they said that on December 1st, the LAPD Missing Persons Unit investigators traveled to the U.S.-Mexico border where they viewed video surveillance from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. The footage clearly shows 30-year-old Hannah Kobayashi crossing the United States border on foot into Mexico. She was alone with her luggage. At this time, Kobayashi's case has been classified as a voluntary missing person. Our priority is ensuring Miss Kobayashi's safety and well-being. They want her to contact her family because they've been all over the news saying, we're worried. We don't think the cops are taking this seriously, et cetera, et cetera. She has the right to privacy. We respect her choices, but, obviously there are people who care about her. So they say over the past several weeks, despite the claims of some of the family members and things like that, that the Missing Persons Unit was investigating, and they were looking into this report. And she landed in LA from Maui on November 8th. And from the 8th to the 11th, video footage and still imagery showed Hannah at various locations around Los Angeles. So she was hanging out in LA for 3 days, and it was verified by the detectives. And I've seen some of those images here and there on the internet. For unknown reasons, she did not board her flight to New York, which I told you already. She checked her bag, threw it to New York, but then requested it back. She requested her luggage be sent back to LAX. And they have surveillance footage of her retrieving that. And I think I have a screen grab of that in my email somewhere. So that was November 11th, Veterans Day. So the investigation further revealed that Kobayashi knowingly departed LAX on November 11th with her luggage and traveled to Union Station. While at Union Station, she used her passport to purchase a bus ticket for a destination near the Mexico border. On the morning of November 12th, she traveled by bus from Union Station to San Isidora, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, California. Shortly after arriving, she crossed the border into Mexico. So she got a bus ticket and she went to Mexico. So it talks about how the case has attracted significant media attention due to her lack of communication, speculation about potential involvement in human trafficking or foul play. To date, the investigation has not uncovered any evidence that she is being trafficked or is the victim of foul play. She's not a suspect in any criminal activity. And they noted that before departing Maui, Kobayashi expressed a desire to step away from modern connectivity. So, okay, she doesn't want to, she had apparently told somebody this. Who she told, who knows? We don't know if she told family members or a family member, the aunt, no idea, maybe a friend. Who knows who she told? So they're calling her a voluntary missing persons. So she doesn't want to talk to anybody, is what they're saying. This jibes with what Steve Fisher told me. And then this was an interesting post from Steve Fisher, and I retweeted this. And he had said something to me about her being involved in some type of green card scam marriage type thing. And so he tweeted this: Hannah Kobayashi is married, as is her ex-boyfriend. Here's why I'm disclosing this information. Hannah's family and now legal counsel has repeatedly criticized the LAPD, claiming they are dissatisfied with the investigation into her situation. Time and again, they have spoken about an African-American man who was allegedly controlling and drugging Hannah, clearly implying he was involved. However, as of November 16th, the family is fully aware that both Hannah and her ex-boyfriend are involved in green card marriages for profit. They even suspected that the ex-boyfriend is responsible for scamming Hannah out of her money and contributing to her behavior. Despite this, the family, specifically her sister, aunt, and father, continued to publicly emphasize how cooperative the ex-boyfriend has been and create fear of an African-American male seen with Hannah, which they wouldn't provide proof of the surveillance image. It is likely that the LAPD is already aware of this green card scheme and has determined it is not a priority. If green cards have not been issued, there is no crime. Even if they had been issued, this is a relatively common crime and likely wouldn't be prosecuted. The real issue is that the family, he is claiming, misrepresented the situation while utilizing public resources, private donations, and public pleas for help. And he's claiming they have not been honest about the circumstances, even though they have been aware of them all along. I have repeatedly stated that this should be handled privately with the involvement of an investigator and a medical professional to evaluate Hannah. Instead, they announced that they are seeking additional funds to expand the investigation and search into Mexico. This is unnecessary and deceptive. They need to stop blaming the LAPD for supposedly failing in their duties, stop asking the public for donations, and stop misrepresenting this as a public crisis. And he reluctantly felt compelled to release this information due to their continued public pleas for donations, even though he says he did not want to do so. And he shared this text message on his feed. And it says that she appears to have been betrayed or hurt by somebody that she trusted. Other family dynamics may also be at play here. However, this is a private matter and should not be treated as a public search funded by the public. So I kind of have heard that there's like this split in the family where possibly one family member may have known about the green card marriage stuff and then the scam stuff. And then mom, dad, and sister did not know, but became aware recently. And then he disclosed this November 16th text message that has Sydney, who is Hannah's sister, on it. And it shows Hannah with a man, and it looks like they're getting married or something. And she's in a white dress with a lei on, and so is the guy. And then it says, Sydney wrote, "This cannot be released yet, but this is our confirmation and lead now. So I think that Ammon, the guy Hannah married, and the girl Ammon married for money are all in on this together and extorted her and are trafficking her." So they were under this impression that she was being trafficked. But not the entire family was. So then Sarah Azari, she's representing Hannah Kobayashi's family. And there was a story that came out in LA Magazine Wednesday night, I believe. And it basically stated that the FBI was now looking into this green card marriage for profit scheme or scam or whatever. And Sarah put out this statement. "We want to stress that the family has not publicly announced any information regarding an alleged marriage because we did not have the facts or the necessary documents to verify the legitimacy of this information. The family has not confirmed the authenticity of the images or the accuracy of the information provided about a possible secret marriage. This is one of many leads we are actively investigating with the help of our attorney and investigative team. We would also like to confirm that we turned over the alleged information to law enforcement immediately upon receipt." And that kind of jibes with the LA Magazine story where it said that her mom, Hannah's mom, discovered some immigration documents and some other stuff, I guess when trying to figure out what was going on, and contacted some immigration attorney that was in the documents. The person wasn't cooperative, and so she turned that information over to law enforcement. Sarah's statement continues. "Further, while we appreciate Larry's," I think it's Laurie, whatever her name is, Pigeon, she's the aunt. While we appreciate Larry's efforts, she does not speak on behalf of our immediate family, which consists of Hannah's mother, Brandy, and her sister, Sydney. We remain focused on verifying the details and leads we have received, and we ask for your understanding and patience as we continue our investigation. We extend our deepest gratitude to everyone who has supported us during this incredibly difficult time. Your efforts, especially those of the volunteers and individuals who have gone above and beyond to help search for Hannah, mean the world to us. Finally, we kindly ask everyone to avoid jumping to conclusions or spreading unverified claims. It is especially important not to perpetuate speculation that anyone is involved in a scam, as this only hinders our efforts to find Hannah and bring clarity and closure to the nightmare we are living because of her disappearance. So there you have it. It appears Hannah Kobayashi is a voluntarily missing person, or a voluntary missing person, however you want to say it. And there's some green card stuff going on. Did I even share that right? I think I was reading. I think I clicked on something. I meant to show you guys. I'm not showing you guys the right thing. Hold on. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. I was not sharing the right thing. Kind of new to this software, so I thought just when I clicked, it would. I shared the wrong thing, guys. Sorry about that. I should have switched the tab. But anyway, this is a statement from Sarah Azari. So I've been reading you guys all these things and not clicking on the right thing. Sorry about that. So that's the statement from Sarah talking about this. So the aunt, Laurie Pigeon, it sounds like there's a bit of a split between Laurie Pigeon, the aunt, and the other family members. So there you have it on that. All right. So the next thing I was going to tell you about is something I'll be covering. Ryan, I feel like you sound familiar to me, Ryan Ackman. But anyway, the next thing I was going to tell you about is this Kentucky sheriff that I've covered, he's a former sheriff now, Mickey Steins, and he shot and killed Judge Kevin Mullins in September in his chambers. It was on video. It was insane. I mean, everybody was like, "Oh my God, what is going on?" Well, there's been some big news that's come out, and we were hearing a lot of these rumors about something going on with sex in this small town, and it's a bit of a mess. But we were hearing all of this stuff about sex and people being involved in weird sex stuff down in this town in Letcher County, Kentucky. It's a small town. And anytime you go to a small town, there's always some kind of nonsense going on. But Sheriff Steins, he shot Judge Mullins in his chambers. And in the days or, weeks leading up to this, he and Judge Mullins were friends. He used to be his bailiff. Sheriff Steins, then Sheriff Steins, had been deposed in a lawsuit where a woman named Sabrina Atkins was suing the county, still is suing the county, claiming that a deputy, Ben Fields, coerced her into having sex with him and providing sexual favors in exchange for her remaining on home incarceration rather than going back to jail. Ben Fields was supervising her. He's since been convicted of this in court, in a criminal court. He admitted to the improper relationship to the police, to investigators with the Attorney General's office. So now there's a civil suit. The sheriff was deposed. He was accused of not properly training Fields or supervising him. And so he and Judge Mullins have lunch that day, just like they always did. This is something they commonly did. They then go to his chambers to talk. Judge Mullins, gives him his phone, gives the sheriff his phone. He tries to dial his daughter. Something happens, and then he shoots the judge. It's just absolutely crazy. And so there's no relationship. Nothing's going on. There was a lot of speculation. Was something going on with Sheriff Steins' daughter and Judge Mullins? We've been told no, there was no improper relationship there. No, Emil, we are told, Emil, that no, there's no improper relationship between the judge And sorry, we were told there's no improper relationship between the judge and Sheriff Steins's daughter. She's a teenage girl, older teenage girl, no improper relationship. We've been told that. Well, now there's some audio that News Nation got a hold of, and I have it now. Like we had requested it, and now we have it. We had requested it a while ago, where Sabrina Atkins was interviewed by law enforcement a while ago, before any of this happened with the shooting. And she said that she had seen videotapes that showed Judge Mullins having sex with girls or women. That's how she put it, sexual stuff. Well, the whole reason this is relevant was because Sabrina Atkins told law enforcement, and in her lawsuit, she said that when she would meet Ben Fields for sex, because he was supervising her while she was on home incarceration, the sex would take place in Judge Mullins's chambers. Why? Why are you having sex in a judge's chambers? It makes no sense. So there's something going on down there. And the attorney representing her is basically saying they were running a brothel out of this place, out of this courthouse. Crazy stuff. So this woman's got a really good lawsuit going, it sounds like, against Letcher County. So we're trying to figure out, wow, if there are tapes, where are they? Were the police aware of this? They were looking into the tapes. I mean, they were trying to get their hands on the tapes. So it's pretty wild. So we'll be doing a little bit more on that. So, oh, Ryan, you met me at CrimeCon? Okay, cool. I'll have to see if I can recognize your picture. Okay, cool. So anyway, guys, that's what I've been working on, and what I'll be doing in the future, I guess, or at least on Monday. But yeah, I've got a lot more to tell you about. And I've got a lot more to tell you about the Pike County stuff for those of you who are interested. I don't know how many of you are, but there's a lot of drama going on with that. I did a live about that last weekend. And so I'll be doing more on that. I might do it this weekend if I can. I've got all the documents together and everything. But it'll take a lot of reading on my part, reading to you. And sitting here reading for 30 minutes straight would take a lot. So maybe I'll have to get somebody to come on here with me and bounce off of it with me, so you don't have to listen to me for 30 minutes straight. But I do have some stuff to tell you. Hash brown, yes, there are new developments in the Pike County stuff. So I have to take a sip of water really quickly. So yeah, Junior, she is selling them. She's definitely suing them. Sorry. She is suing them, and she'll probably, I hope she, gets what she deserves out of this, because she said she doesn't want this to ever happen to anybody else. It's actually very sad when you hear her talk about this. She sounds traumatized. So yes, I've got some Pike County news for you guys. I actually do have some interesting Stephen Avery news for you guys. I could do a whole nother thing on that. But I won't be doing that tonight. Very Ape says Lori Daybell representing herself should be interesting. Hope it gets streamed. I don't know what that woman is thinking, but I kind of don't want to know what she is thinking, because I think that if I understood her train of thought, that would put me in a very bad place. So, so Hash Brown and A. Heineman, when would you want to hear me talk about Pike County? Because my weekend's a little bit hairy, but I would like to do that sooner rather than later. It's just that I have to kind of figure out when I'm going to do that. Junior says, I followed the Pike County trial. I go through the town often. Hash Brown, I don't know if I'll go there in person, but here's my thing about Pike County. With Angela Wagner and Jake Wagner, they are scheduled to be sentenced on the 16th of December. Hash Brown says ASAP. Okay. They're scheduled to be sentenced on the 16th of December. I'm like, is that even going to happen now? I mean, should that be happening? I kind of am wondering if that's even going to happen. So I feel like I need to somehow get in touch with this judge's chambers, since he's kind of a specially appointed judge. I don't even know if he has chambers. Oh, Allison, you're very sweet, Allison. Thank you. Hi, Angenette, hailing from Southern Illinois. Love the fact that you're doing this. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm trying to follow all your comments as I'm sitting here talking to you. And if I'm rambling a little bit, I apologize. And sorry for the screen share fail earlier. I thought I was doing that right. I'm sitting here reading it, and I thought I was sharing it with you. Like I thought once I shared it and hit the different tabs, it would flip the tabs or flip to the different tab, and it didn't. So sorry. Probably need somebody to help me with that next time. A. Heineman says, I plan to go to Pike County in person. I went one day of Georgia's trial. Yeah. Georgia's trial was pretty crazy. I'm hoping this new judge, he seems to kind of want to just get this thing going and do it. I am hoping this new judge with this trial for Billy, which is now on hold, unfortunately, because the state has filed an appeal. That's part of the drama that's going on. It's the 16th hash brown, I thought, the sentencing. But anyway, I'm hoping that this new judge, because in the state of Ohio, people can opt out of being filmed for their testimony of appearing on television. In the last trial, Judge Deering permitted this nonsense, and I'm sorry, it was nonsense, where it was like, it was like they let the lawyers write the rules. It was ridiculous. Typically in Ohio, when I've covered these trials, when somebody says, yeah, I don't want to be on TV, the judge says, okay, you just can't show their face, but we still get the audio. Well, they let it be no audio and video. Absurd. Totally absurd. Should have at least let the audio play. And they were letting the sheriff of Pike County opt out. That is ridiculous. You are an elected official. No, that is not why this rule was designed. So you're an elected official. Sit up there and testify on camera, because guess what? You are paid by the taxpayers. That rule was designed to protect people like victims and maybe somebody like an undercover cop whose life could be put in danger. Maybe, yeah, designed to protect somebody like that. No, not just willy nilly, I don't want to be on TV, or children, you don't want to put children on blast. So, I'm thinking this new judge would probably be like, yeah, we're allowing audio. At least I'm hoping he would. Okay, guys, I am kind of out of breath and thirsty, and it is getting a little bit late, not totally late, but it's a little bit late, and it's been a weird week. So I've loved hanging out with you a little bit. The next time I do this, I'm going to have to find a feed to put up or something to maybe show you guys some audio or something like that, or some video in between, just to spice this up. But it was good talking to you, and I will see you again some other time. Experts in LE shouldn't have a choice. The law is intended for lay witnesses. Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's a rule, and you're right. A. Heineman is not intended for that at all. It is not intended for law enforcement or, the sheriff of the county. The sheriff of the county where an octuple homicide took place. Sorry, that rule about opting out was not designed for you. So stop it. Stop. Silly. Okay. Thanks, guys. I hope that you have a great night, great weekend. And I'll try to get that Pike County stuff together here very soon. And we'll go through the documents and look at it together. Until then, have a great night. Stay warm if you're in Ohio or the Northeast or Midwest, because it's just been awful the last several days here. And stay warm. Have fun. Have a good night. We'll do it again soon. Bye.